Hey everybody, Andy Kvernen here with another Cornerstone Connection Daily Devotional. Several years ago, I was just beginning grad school and I was excited about it. It was going to be a big project. It was going to take 4 or 5 years. I knew I was in for the long haul, but I really felt like it was something that the Lord had called me to do. And so I was in both feet and I was excited and working towards getting this graduate degree, a seminary degree. Well, about a year into the program, some of the funding that I expected to have that would help to help me to get through grad school fell through. All of a sudden, it was just gone. And I didn't have the means to pay for it. I looked at Christy and I, we had 3 small kids, and I mean, thousands of dollars that I thought would be there were no longer there. And I remember thinking, God, what's up with that? I mean, how's this going to work? If you called me to this, why did you pull the funding that was going to help me to do this? And if I'm honest, I kind of spazzed at God there. I certainly spazzed in my own demeanor, in my own thinking. It was a time of real angst for me, a real frustration. And I remember thinking about it, praying about it, and honestly, not really coming to a peace about it. But I got an invitation from a friend, and he said, hey, let's go to lunch. And so we went to lunch, and this was a good friend of mine that knew what we were going through, had been engaging with us. And we sat down, and this friend said, hey, I've got a solution for you for your finances for seminary. Don't worry about it. We're going to get this taken care of. And it doesn't matter what the details are, except that friend gave me a great gift to help me to continue in seminary. And here I was. God had provided a means for me to do that which He'd asked of me. Now, as I think back on that experience, I think, why did I doubt God? And actually, doubting God in those situations probably has been a part of a lot of our experience. I think of even Mary in the Christmas story. The angel Gabriel comes to Mary and says, Mary, you're going to have a baby. And Mary knows her story, right? Mary knows that she's a virtuous woman, a virtuous girl, really, at that point. She's not done anything that would cause, from a human perspective, her to have a baby. And so she's wondering, wait a second, Gabriel, you're a messenger of God. You're an angel. You're telling me I'm going to have a baby. What's up with that? Listen to what they say, this conversation in Luke chapter 1, verses 34 to 38. Mary says to Gabriel, how will this be? Mary asked the angel, since I'm a virgin, she says in verse 34. The angel answered, the Holy Spirit will come on you, and the power of the Most High will overshadow you. So the Holy One to be born will be called the Son of God. Even Elizabeth, your relative, is going to have a child in her old age, and she who is said to be unable to conceive is in her 6th month, for no word from God will ever fail. Isn't that amazing theology? I love what Gabriel says to Mary. Look, Mary, you got to remember who you're talking to. And I think Gabriel understood. Mary grew up in a Jewish home. She would have studied God and who He is and heard the stories from a very young age. She knew what God was capable of. But here, in this moment where it really mattered, she panicked. She said, how's this going to work? How could this be? And Gabriel responds, look, remember who your God is. And I love this, verse 37, for no word from God will ever fail. No word from God will ever fail. One of the things I love to say around here at Cornerstone, and even in my own thinking, is that what God requires, God provides. You know, if God calls you to something, God's going to provide for you the means that you need in order to fulfill that calling. Now, it doesn't mean that we always get the calling right. Sometimes we think He's called us to something when in actuality He hasn't. And so He's going to redirect us by His grace. But friends, when God calls you to something, He always provides for that which He calls. What God requires, God provides. Verse 37 from Gabriel, no word from God will ever fail. Friends, when God calls you to something, you can trust Him. And I love how Mary responds. She says in verse 38, I am the Lord's servant, Mary answered. May your word to me be fulfilled. And then the angel left her. The angel had heard what he needed to hear. Mary said, look, God, whatever you want to do in me, whatever you want to do through me, I don't understand it. I don't know how it's going to work, but I'm here. And I'm available. And so you do what you want to do through me. Friends, I don't know about you, but when I get to another place where I'm just not quite sure how this is going to work, I don't want to spaz anymore. I don't want to freak out. I don't want to worry. What I want to do is have a quick and a resilient trust that if God has required this of me, He'll provide it for me. And if He takes it away, then I can trust Him in that too, because it may mean that I got the calling wrong. So for you today, let me encourage you. Perhaps you've sensed God calling you to something. Keep trusting Him. Keep in faith, asking for His provision. And when He responds, respond like Mary. Respond like Mary, not responding with a closed fist saying, God, you better do this or else, but respond like Mary. I'm the Lord's servant, Mary answered. May your word to me be fulfilled. God, whatever you want to do, here I am. Do it. God bless you, friends. I hope you're having a great week. And Lord willing, we'll see you again soon on the Cornerstone Connection.